While en route to a planned vacation, a family stumbled upon an injured fox and decided not to abandon it. Their kindness ultimately benefited them later. The woman in the family had spent much of her youth residing in a rural area. The woman's family had once possessed a cozy home near the village lake, but her parents sold it upon their retirement. Despite this, the allure of the scenery had a profound effect on her and she often reminisced about that small house. After relocating from the village, the woman married and began a family in the city. They had one daughter and desired to have another child in the future. However, one summer, the woman felt the need to get away. She longed for the warmth and generosity that was lacking in the city. The woman and her spouse agreed to take a week off during the summer, and she finally knew where she wanted to go. She had the desire to revisit her childhood village. She looked forward to sharing all her favorite spots with her husband and daughter. The family quickly gathered their belongings and soon set out for the countryside. The young girl had never traveled that far before and the lengthy journey proved to be too much for her, ultimately falling asleep during the car ride. The woman, through the rearview mirror, glanced at her daughter who was softly snoring in the back seat. The woman gazed at the passing landscape through the open car window. There had been a few storms in the preceding week, leaving the fields muddy. About an hour into their trip, they entered a forested area. The woman took in a deep breath, relishing the aroma of pine trees and damp leaves. Suddenly her husband hit the brakes. The sharp movement jolted the woman out of her daydreams and woke the girl in the back seat. "I think I just saw something," the man whispered. The woman's heartbeat accelerated. She first encouraged him to pull over on the side of the road, and then the couple exited their car. The man walked towards the clump of fur sprawled across the road. It was a fox and it was wounded. They had not been the ones to hit the animal. Someone else had hit the poor fox and left it to fend for itself. The woman reached for her husband's hand, tears falling from her eyes. It wasn't moving, and they were unsure as to whether the animal was still alive. As the couple took a few more steps towards the animal, they heard a car door open from behind them. Their daughter rushed out towards her parents. She was wide awake now and there was no way she would be able to fall back asleep. The sight of the injured fox broke her heart, and without a single hesitation, she knelt beside the animal, gathering it into her arms. "We have to help it," the little girl said, her voice stable. At first, her parents debated whether they should intervene with the fox. The creature looked beyond saving, but the girl assured them that she could feel its heartbeat and that it was still alive. The steadfastness in their daughter's voice moved her parents. She may not have grown up in the countryside like they had, but she had a soft spot for animals. They expected nothing less than for her to defend an innocent life. The couple were concerned about how they were going to get help. There was a veterinarian close to where they lived, but the city was almost 2 hours away. The only choice they had was to continue going north towards the woman's childhood village. As far as she knew, the village didn't have a vet. She wasn't even sure if there was a medical doctor. Nevertheless, the fox seemed to be in a bad condition and there wasn't much time left. The father carried the fox to their car. After they got into their designated seats, they quickly resumed their journey. There were no other cars on the road, and so the father took a risk and drove as quickly as possible. Occasionally, the mother would turn around to assess how the fox was holding up. In the back seat, the young girl had taken out a blanket and wrapped it around the animal. The fox was shaking, it barely had the strength to open its eyes.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
At one point, it vomited all over the seats. The girl made no complaints. She simply wiped the vomit up with another blanket, hugged the animal and comforted it with soothing words. It was the most mature that her parents had ever seen her. Finally, the family arrived at the entrance of the village. They rushed out of the car with the father carrying the fox in his arms. The mother hurried towards one of the nearby villages in search of a doctor. Although there was no medical professional in the village, the locals directed the family to a local herbalist as per the direction given by the villagers. The family soon found themselves at the door of an elderly woman. Upon seeing the fox, she immediately directed the father to place it on the table. After a brief examination of the hurt animal, the herbalist stated that the fox was a young male and had been harmed by a fast-moving vehicle. The injury was recent, but she was able to heal it. It would take a couple of days, but the fox would be completely recovered. The family expressed their gratitude to the old woman and offered her a large sum of money as payment for her services. However, she politely declined, stating that she was simply following her destiny. She further explained that she was clairvoyant and could see a special connection between the fox and the daughter. Although the couple were skeptical of the old woman's words, they were grateful for her assistance and left her house without further comment. Eventually, the fox was fully recovered, showing no signs of any significant injury. The family was satisfied with the fox's recovery, but they were now unsure whether to release it back into the wild or not. Many argue that certain animals should stay in the wild, however, in this case, it seemed more humane to allow the fox to live indoors. Once again, the girl's opinion swayed her parents. She couldn't bear the thought of releasing the fox into the wild and leaving it defenseless. She expressed her desire to keep the fox to her parents, and with only a small amount of hesitation, they accepted it as their own. While all her friends had cats and dogs, this young girl was the proud owner of a fox, and it was her first pet. She showed responsibility in caring for it. Before leaving the village, the old woman gave them herbal medicine for the fox, and the girl applied it regularly. Her parents spent most of their vacation sightseeing in the village, but the young girl chose to play with her fox instead. Upon returning from their trip to the countryside, they were surprised to see how well the fox had adapted to city life. They treated their new pet similarly to a dog. Despite being a wild animal, the fox appeared content to go on morning walks with the family and be taken to visit the park. One day, the family went to a park for a picnic. The fox and the girl wandered into the grassy area, even though there were not many people around. Suddenly, the girl let out a terrifying scream. Her parents ran towards her, driven by adrenaline. At first, they had trouble seeing her through the tall grass, but then the fox's face appeared. The fox led them to where the girl was and they were overwhelmed with relief at the sight. At the feet of the girl was a snake. It was not moving, and there were bite marks on its green skin. When they looked back at the fox, they saw that it had blood around its mouth. The fox had saved the young girl's life. It was as if saving the fox's life ultimately saved their child's life. Since that day, the fox and the girl have been inseparable. It was clear that the herbalist was right all along. The girl and the fox had a unique bond that connected them for life. Did you enjoy the story? If so, what did you find most interesting? I would appreciate hearing your thoughts on this video. I hope you liked this video. Please share it and subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.